Pranams to Maharaj. We will start today's program with a prayer from Sister Sutapa Das. She will sing a song on Swamiji. Subsequently, Adarniya Lakshmi Didi will introduce Maharaj. After introduction, Maharaj will start his talk.
मूर्धमहेश्वरमोज्ज्वलभास्करमिष्टममरनरवन्द्यम् वन्दे वेदतनुमुञ्झितगर्हित काञ्चनकामिनीवन्धम् मूर्धमहेश्वरमोज्ज्वलभास्करमिष्टममरनरवन्द्यम् कोटिभानुकरदीप्तसिंहमहो कटितटकौपिनवन्तम् अभिरभिहुङ्कारनादितदिमुख प्रचण्डताण्डवनृत्यम् मूर्धमहेश्वरमोज्ज्वलभास्करमिष्टममरनरवन्द्यम् भुक्तिमुक्तिकृपाकटाक्षप्रेक्षण मगधलविदलनदाक्षम् बालचन्द्रधरमिन्दुवन्द्यमिह बालचन्द्रधरमिन्दुवन्द्यमिह नौमि गुरुविवेकानन्दम् मूर्धमहेश्वरमोज्ज्वलभास्करमिष्टममरनरवन्द्यम् मूर्धमहेश्वरमोज्ज्वलभास्करमिष्टममरनरवन्द्यम्
I request Adarniya Lakshmi Didi to introduce Maharaj.
ब्रह्मचर्यव्रती दण्डी सर्ववेदान्त पंडित श्रीमद्विवेकयोगी मां प्रचोदयतु सर्वदा. It's a great pleasure to introduce Swami Veerabhadranandaji, who is presently the head of our old, very old, but new upcoming Mutt, Ramakrishna Mutt at Haripad. He joined Ramakrishna Mutt at the age of 21, was initiated by most revered Swami Veereshwaranandaji Maharaj, and he had the great privilege of working in the Ramakrishna Mission at the Khetri Palace, which is now converted into Ramakrishna Mission Center, where Raja Ajit Singh, Swamiji's very favorite disciple, was staying earlier, and then the mutt was given that place, and there we have the ashram now. He was initiated into the vows of sannyasa in 1988, and he is a very, very, very profound and very attractive and what shall I say, speaker. He can handle Tamil, English very, very fluently. And now after coming to Kerala, he is also very good in Tamil, in Malayalam also. He is very well known in the circles of Rotary and Lions Club, because they invite him very often to deliver lectures on Swamiji. He was in Sri Lanka in 2001 for a series of lectures.
Talks. Okay.
He has brought books in Malayalam titled Meditation on Sharada Devi, Meditation on Ramakrishna Mat Koilandi has published it, and a book in Tamil entitled Sri Sharada Devi Dhyanam. He is a specialist in conducting meditations on the Holy Trio. He has also brought out a beautiful CD on this guided meditation series called Mananam. He was responsible for starting the Ramakrishna Vivekananda Bhakta Sammelan, and it was my good fortune to work with him when we first started the Sammelanam in Kerala. He was the president of Ramakrishna Sharada Malaysia Center, Ramakrishna Center of Malaysia in Petaling Jaya from 2006 to 2009. He has visited many countries like Australia, South Africa, Mauritius, Thailand, Hong Kong, and Bangladesh, and given talks in all those places. A book entitled Youth, A Few Minutes with You in Tamil, written by him, was released by no less a person than our ex-president, Dr. Abdul Kalam, during the National Youth Day celebration on 12th January 2013 at Salem, Tamil Nadu. A guided meditation CD on Swami Vivekananda in Tamil entitled Swami Vivekananda Dhyanam was released on 23rd January 2014, which is the Indian birthday of Swami Vivekananda at Tirupur. At present, he is the president of Ramakrishna Math Haripad, Alapi district. This is the first center of the Ramakrishna movement which was started in Kerala, and it was almost gone into neglect. And Swamiji has put all his efforts and is again building it up. The shrine is almost ready, monks' quarters getting ready. And very soon, I think we will have the pleasure of attending the inauguration ceremony of this old but new mutt of Ramakrishna Center. With great happiness and deeply reverential pranams, I invite you, Swamiji, welcome you to join our meditation on Vivekananda series and enlighten us on the profundity of the great master's life and message. Thank
To all of you, especially to one great devotee of Swami Vivekananda, very affectionately called as Didi, Dr. Lakshmi Kumari, who was the president of Vivekananda Rock Memorial, Kanyakumari. Before coming and taking charge and inspiring this wonderful institution in Kodungalur, Kerala, called as Vivekananda Vedic Foundation. I have visited, I think, more than twice or thrice, and it's a very, very lovely center with Salaivan surroundings all over in a very beautiful village atmosphere there. To all of you who have gathered in the name of our great hero, Swami Vivekananda, who is the idol of our country, both for young and old. So with these few words, we will slowly enter into the meditative brooding on the personality of Swami Vivekananda. It has been arranged that almost every week on Saturdays or perhaps every fortnight, we will be getting together to think about Swami Vivekananda, of whom Sri Ramakrishna was greatly fond of. Whenever Narendranath used to come to Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna used to go into raptures and used to feel there's a great festival atmosphere in Dakshineshwar, like Deepavali or any other great festival we normally celebrate. Swami Vivekananda was a darling of Sri Ramakrishna, the very pupil of his eye, whom he brought for the welfare of the mankind. So today we will be taking up a very, very simple topic, not having much philosophical connotations or requiring deep thinking. Sometimes very simple and a sweet and a lively discussion on certain small things can really invigorate our own mind and soul, and also the mood undergoes a radical transformation. So, today we will be thinking on a very, very simple subject, some of the events that took place in the life of Swamiji. And the theme for today's discussion is Swami Vivekananda glows in human relationship. I'll present these thoughts in a very, very simple, in a conversational style, so that the meditative session becomes more meaningful rather than trying to expound it with great oratorical flourish. In most of our life, we find guiding light is an essential factor. Like the radar or the beacon light guiding the air vessels and the ships, human beings also naturally need a guiding light. It is needed in every field of life, and I think in every stage of life. Sometimes we find there are pioneers, they become the guiding light for the successes. Great men are these pioneers whose life acts as a beacon light for all of us, guiding us in the path of life. Swami Vivekananda himself needed a guiding light during his search for the truth, the quest into the truth. After realizing the truth, he himself became a beacon light. In the last century, Swami Vivekananda appeared on the Indian sky like a guiding star, a guiding light, and even now we find his message, life, and events and incidents really guide us in many ways, and especially when there is a crisis. If we look into the beautiful events of his life, we get a clear view, an understanding of how to deal and how to behave in these situations. And this fact of Swami Vivekananda being a guiding light is true not only for Indians, for men and women, young and old, for people in high status as well as people who are very ordinary folks. It is true even for people living in other countries holding higher positions. And they too hold Swamiji as a pole star of their life. One example who was really inspired by Swamiji and who held Swamiji as a life guiding star, I will quote his words. Vivekananda, oh, what a name! It was Vivekananda who taught me how to love my country. After reading Vivekananda, I came to know how to serve my countrymen better. Without reading Vivekananda, I don't complete my day. These famous words, inspiring words, are from Mr. Sukarno, the president of Indonesia. For an ordinary man, most of us are ordinary people trying to become extraordinary. We require an ideal man, and the presence of an ideal man is of a great help and booster in tuning our life more finely towards higher values and standards of life. Swami Vivekananda thus becomes a ready reckoner, like a life dictionary or a reference book to be looked into whenever we are at a challenging situation or a confused state of mind, or we are in a particular situation where we do not know which path or road to choose and how to select a right action that will solve the problem. Swamiji was like a colossus who strode on this earth in the last century, commanding respect and honor wherever he went. Contrary to some of our great leaders, for example, Roma Roland quotes, just to give a comparison, not to belittle anybody, we know that father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi was thrown out of the railway compartment. In contrast, wherever Vivekananda went, he commanded respect, awe and reverence. There is a book by Mary Louise Burke titled Swami Vivekananda New Discoveries. She mentions that whenever Swami Vivekananda used to walk on the streets of United States, hardly anybody crossed him without looking at him. Everyone who crossed just turned back and looked at this magnificent figure, totally absorbed in God, unworldly and unlike other people on the road, and they used to stare at him for a moment with admiration and then pass ahead of him. That was a great charm and the extraordinary incandescence that Swamiji's personality emitted. He was the tallest man of the millennium. This is a comment, a beautiful comment by the former Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh. Swamiji's life, a great man as he was, he is revealed by his messages, by his talks. But he can be more better understood and he becomes more closer to us when we look into how he lived. And as we look into his life incidents, we find that in him the talking and the walking merges and mingles in a very, very beautiful and in a sweet way. In an ordinary man's life, there is a great gulf, a great distance, a gap between what he talks and what he does. He talks one thing, he thinks something else, and he does some other thing. This is what is called as lack of integrity. A man who is not having an integrated personality becomes an unreliable person. It is integrity that commands faith and reliability. In the great man's life, their thoughts, words, and deeds all get aligned harmoniously, lending great credibility to their character, power to their words, and a motivating force to all of their actions. That is how Swami Vivekananda now stands as a great motivator for everyone in different fields of life. The talks, the books containing his talks, they manifest and reveal his message. But the life events and incidents, they act as a window revealing his whole personality, of which message was one ray or a gleam from the sparkling personality of Swamiji. Swami Vivekananda's life hardly was on the world stage for 10 years, was a fast-track life, studded, crowded with electrifying incidents, events, and occurrences, each one of them reflecting different sterling quality of his multifaceted dimensional personality. Some incidents express his love for poor, some his gratitude, some his love for his motherland India, some his valor. Some incidents in a great way reveal his unusual purity. Some of the incidents, they manifest the spirituality of Swami Vivekananda and his spiritual greatness and the worldwide vision that he had and the global unifying vision which he conveyed through his talks. Some of his life events convey to us the great bliss emanating through the humorous conversations, jokes, and fun he had with people, his friends, and his disciples. Each of these incidents, they add a glow to his personality's greatness and goodness. They act as a motivating capsules for us also. When I was from Haripad, we have brought out a beautiful book, Vishwamitran Vivekanandan, in which we have selected more than 250 inspiring life incidents of this great Swami Vivekananda, so that you can read from anywhere and you can end anywhere, and each of these incidents can be used for a talk to youngsters, to a depressed person, or a man who is deeply worried, as a motivating capsule. And when we go through these incidents, we are left wondering, how is it that a single man could have so many superb qualities all at a time? This is one of the revealing, unusual facets of Swamiji, that he had so many different qualities in addition to different talents which he had cultivated from his young age. In one place, Sri Ramakrishna says, even Mahamaya stands 10 feet away from Narendranath, so much inspired and overawed by the very power Mahamaya has given to him. He says, Mahamaya stands 10 feet away from Narendra, spellbound by the very power Mahamaya has imparted to him. Now we shall be looking into some of the incidents. Maybe this session may extend into 2 or 3 parts, this being the first part. And as we go through this, the events and the incidents are like windows for us to peep into the grand and captivating personality and nature of Vivekananda. This study session, arranged by the wonderful institution called Vivekananda Vedic Vision Foundation of Kodungallur, Thrissur, Kerala, under the able guidance of Dr. Lakshmi Kumari and her associates. She was the president of the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, Kanyakumari, before coming into this Kodungallur and taking charge of this Vedic vision. There may be weekly or fortnightly or monthly sessions. Lakshmi Kumari and her colleagues and her companions, they deserve our congratulations, admirations, appreciations, and good wishes for this creative and positive effort they have put. There was a famous saint in Tamil Nadu called Thayumanavar, Saint Thayumanavar. His one two-word capsule Upadesham was Chumma Iru, that is, keep quiet or chup baitho. It's very, very difficult and it's a tremendous job to keep quiet. And if one cannot keep quiet, what should we do? Keep engaged. And if we have to keep ourselves engaged, with what and with whom? Keeping oneself engaged with something most fascinating and unusual personality who elevates our thoughts, our feelings and emotions like Swami Vivekananda can be the best and the most positive, creative and holy engagement that we can have. Get engaged with Vivekananda. Engagement with Vivekananda. That is one of the sentiments and the thought current running through these efforts of Vedic Vision Foundation, Kodungallur. How to keep oneself engaged in a very creative and positive way with Vivekananda, so our own life becomes full of fragrance and life becomes meaningful and we feel and get a sense of fulfillment in our life. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, talking about Vivekananda is like Shiva's Stuti. Shiva means auspicious. So it is an auspicious hymn talking about Swami Vivekananda. It's a Mangala Stuti. And today in this few minutes of our together thinking of Vivekananda, the topic for discussion is Swami Vivekananda glows in human relationships. This is one of the scintillating and fascinating aspects of Swamiji's multidimensional personality. We will try to discuss this theme in 2 or 3 parts, depending on how the time curtails our freedom. In each of these incidents, we will find a lesson to learn for alert and observant listeners. For the sleeping mode passengers, every vista of beautiful scenery seen through the train windows goes as a blank sheet without impressing the mind. But for the learner, every event is a charming opportunity to prune oneself, to develop oneself into the great personality that Swami Vivekananda himself was. If we look into our life, we will find that life essentially revolves around relationship. We are all related. Unless we are extremely isolated and alone, even mad people who are isolated and alone, they get related to something else in their own minds. In fact, relationship is a mirror in which you can see yourself, and also you can make yourself beauty and do the makeup action in your personality appearance in the real world. Every event will try to reveal our different facets of personality, and through those events and incidents we can correct and we can improve our personality also. In fact, relationship is the real Aadhaar card for every one of us, revealing our true nature. There are different types of relationship on different levels. For example, we have relationship with nature, relationship with God, relationship with oneself. How do we relate with ourselves? How do we look upon ourselves? Relationship with poor people. How are you getting related to your work? Do you think work as a worship, or do you feel it's a drudgery? Because in India, most of us, we try to pass the buck and don't take work so seriously. Whereas in Japan and other countries, efficiency becomes the core of their values, and they do 2 hours extra work more than the salary they get it. So, but in India, work itself becomes a source for enjoyment. So, how are you related to your work? And then, how are you related to human beings? How are you related to animals? So, relationship is the hub of all these things. Our own wheel of life, everyone's wheel of life revolves smoothly if this relationship is properly lubricated. Any amount of material wealth cannot make one happy if interpersonal relationship is not harmonious, either in the family, in the organization, in a nation, or between the nations, between friends, or even between guru and shishya. So this interpersonal relationship is of extraordinary importance, and there one can see not only others but more clearly how one behaves. So, in the life of Swami Vivekananda, who spoke of so many wonderful things, marvelous philosophy, great truths, how did he move? How did he get related to all these things with nature, with animals, with human beings, with guru, with work, with our own country, with the world country? How did he behave? Saints excel in human relationship because they have set right the main source behind all these relationships, that is God. They have established a harmonious relationship with God, who is in and behind and part of all this nature. So wherever their relationship extends, they get a winning score. God is love, and love is the very essence of relationship. Love with great amount of feeling for others, love without expectation, and love without attachment. That's how we find the personality, our hero Swamiji, moving in this world like a dart of fire, moving through all the darkness, shedding light wherever he goes. During his college days, he was the darling of his friend circle, and his absence was a lack of festivity among the friend circle. He could sing, play instruments, he was a super conversationalist, he was humorous, witty, always affectionate, and always motivating. We will take up one small incident from his college life which throws a deep light into his personality even during those days when he was a young man. Haridas was one of his friends. He was a very poor boy. Narendranath, Swami Vivekananda was from an aristocratic family, But this man of aristocratic family and Haridas, the poor man, were very, very close friends. As the examination approached, Haridas, who was a poor boy, could not pay his entrance fees. He pleaded to the office clerk very much, asking him to excuse or at least give some concession in the examination fees. But the office clerk was very cold hearted, very rude, and he refused to give even concession also. Seeing the pitiable condition of his friend, Narendranath's heart melted. Because if the friend does not appear for the examination, his future career will be ruined, and already his life is full of darkness. And if this boy doesn't get the examination cleared through and get a job, how the family will survive? These thoughts crowded into the mind of Swami Vivekananda, and the great emotions welled up in his heart. Here I am reminded of one of the beautiful sayings of Swamiji, which every time I remember this, it touches my heart. He says, I may have to be born again because I have fallen in love with man. I may have to be born again because I have fallen in love with man. After seeing God, weeping for God, one of the great characteristics that touches the deepest chord of our heart is Vivekananda wept for men, wept for us. That is a great caliber, an extraordinary feature of this saint. I think such a saint we hardly find in India. Saints weep for God. After God realization, a saint weeping for human beings is one of the most marvelous things one can see in life. Swami Vivekananda, understanding the trouble of his friend, he assured and told him that he will help him out of his crisis. He himself went to the office clerk and in a very polite way pleaded to exempt Haridas, his friend, a poor boy, from the examination fees, or at least asked him to charge a nominal amount so that the boy could sit for the examination and get through the examination as well as his life. But the effort was futile, and the office clerk became more furious and told, Hey Narendra, if you are such a chum, why don't you, the rich man, pay the fees of this young boy who is very poor? When Haridas came to know of this, he became deeply depressed. But Vivekananda gave a pat on his back and he told, Dear mate, forget the worry and make merry. Make merry because the sun is shining. But the friend almost collapsed on the seat. That day evening, as the sun was setting and the shadows were lengthening, a shadow of a young man was slowly moving on the street towards a place where all the addicts meet to take intoxicants, lahari padartha. Most of these drug addicts, drunkards, and all they come and meet and sit in the hub and chat and spend their time. One young man was stealthily moving towards that addict's hub, and slowly as he moved, he found many of those people were getting drowned in the addiction, and many of them have lost sense of the external world also. Slowly, as the nature was pulling the twilight blanket over the whole world, this young man moved into the addict's hub and appeared and started laughing in front of one man who was almost sinking into the exhilarating excitement of the intoxicant that he has taken. Unexpectedly seeing this young man, the elderly man who was getting into the spell of intoxication found that he was shocked. The intoxication broke and he couldn't talk or whisper or exchange any words with this young man for a few minutes. In a fit of fear, trembling, he stood up. In a sheepish way, smiling with folded hands, he told this young man, Hare friend, Hare Narendranath, you are here at this time? Because that was the hub of the addicts, where people take intoxicant. And laughing with great roar, Narendranath replied, Yes, I am here today only. But how is it you are here this time and I came to know that you are here for a long time? Every day you come and frequent this place. This seems to be a regular habit. And you know, today your secret has been exposed and tomorrow it can become a news in the college. The other man who was drowning in intoxication was none other than the office clerk who refused to help Swami Vivekananda's friend Haridas. Now he stood up, caught hold of Vivekananda, Narendranath's hands, and pleaded in a weeping tone, "Oh, Naren, oh, yes, now I remember. Oh, you wanted to help your poor friend Haridas, is it not? Really, you are a man of great golden heart. But you have to understand that I also feel that now that your friend really is in need of help. Surely, tomorrow, as I go back to our college office, you will find that examination fees are being exempted. But I want one help from you. That is, please promise that you won't tell anyone that I am a drug addict." Sensing victory, Swami Vivekananda, then Narendranath, laughed heartily, but in a stern voice replied, "Hello, sir. Please remember that you are supposed to exempt my friend Haridas from examination fees. If you don't remember, I will remember to reveal this secret of yours, and possibly you may not be allowed to come into the college from tomorrow." Frightened, the office clerk gave a promise and ultimately extended Swami Vivekananda's friend Haridas from the college fees. Heart full of satisfaction and victory, Swami Vivekananda Narendranath came to his friend Haridas' house early morning and knocked at the door, bursting with a song, "Rejoice, my chum, for the sun has risen. The dawn's rays are touching the peaks of the hills around. Today is a festival, and the breeze is blowing with great fragrance. Therefore, fill your heart with love and adore the lotus feet of the Lord." Haridas, who was so depressed, could not understand why Narendranath is in such a jubilant mood. When Narendranath told the story, both of them hugged and fell over each other, enjoying the comic situation and also the keen intelligence and the deep emotional feeling of Narendranath in helping a friend out of crisis. This is really friend in need is friend indeed policy practiced in life. The quality of true friendship is going to any extent to help and save a friend from the crisis or the turmoil. But such examples are rare. The generosity of the heart and the feeling for the difficulties of other person and solving it and freeing the friend from distress is a real action of great friendliness, the real feeling for other people. Many times we have what they call as lip sympathy. We sympathize with a friend, we try to express our great feelings, but we stop there and we don't do anything. This is one of the most important thing we find later expressing itself in message of the Swamiji, where he says 3 things are required to make a man patriot. First is the feeling of the difficulty or the problems in the life of our countrymen. Then second is the finding of a solution for the problem. He says that even is not a big thing. The third one, executing the solution, working out the solution for solving the problem is one of the most important things. We are all theoretical philosophers, theoretical friends, but practical friend is a man who really solves the problems of life, solves and gives a solution, a soothing touch during the crisis of life. So this is one of the important aspects which we should remember, not only among the friends, but also among our own relationships. When you are wealthy, when there is celebration in your life and you have status, people all come together they are near by you and they all enjoy the life with you. But moment there is an emergency, moment there is a difficult situation for us, we find most of our relations, our friends, admirers, well-wishers, all moving away or just giving mere lip sympathy. This is really a fulfilling friendship. This is one of the great qualities of Swami Vivekananda we find expressing itself throughout his life. In one place, I remember, Nivedita started helping an Englishman, and Vivekananda, who knew the future of Nivedita, warned her not to move more deeply into the actions and the activities of Englishmen. To which Nivedita, who couldn't understand the motives of the great saint, blurted out, Swamiji, you are perhaps jealous of me that I am trying to help an Englishman. In his own great personality trait, Swami Vivekananda rose to his great stature of the personality and remarked, oh, jealousy! Any man who can see my forehead can understand and read that I am a man born without jealousy. But Nivedita, I know what you are going to be in future. And I assure you that even if you go to hell, I will come down to hell and take you on my shoulders and take you to heaven. So, even in spite of Nivedita behaving in a negative way, Vivekananda assured his friendliness, the constant companionship, never deserting, always trying to assert his friendship and helping people. This is one of the most positive qualities we require in our life among our friends, among the people of the society, and among our own relations, and among the people with whom we are working in the institution. So, this is one incident. The second incident, how he used to get related to human beings. When you know the problem of racism in US even now, where the discrimination between the white and the black are going on, when Swami Vivekananda became famous after the Chicago Parliament of Religions, one day a Negro, I should not use the word Negro, a man of different complexion, he came and shook hands with Swami Vivekananda, thinking that Swamiji also belongs to that black man group, and expressed his great joy at the success of Swamiji. And he told, brother, I am so great that you have become so successful. Later, when Swami Vivekananda narrated this incident, the other person remarked, Swamiji, why did he not tell that you are not a black man? And Swamiji rose to his great glory, his great stature, and told, what? Negro also is my brother. So the ability to get related to human beings, that is one of the sterling qualities we find in the life of Swamiji. Another incident which I would like to now share is, which I have heard from other senior Swamis, but I have not read it in any book, but it is still worth noting how Swami Vivekananda, who is our friend, philosopher, guide, ideal and idol, how he behaved in all these situations. We all know about the incident where once the fathers in United States, Christian fathers, they had arranged for a meeting and invited Swami Vivekananda to talk to them. After the meeting was over, they had given him some snacks and drinks. As Swami Vivekananda was about to take the drink, he saw suddenly Sri Ramakrishna appearing. So he thought there must be something wrong. So he kept the glass of fruit juice down on the table. And again, as other fathers were wanting to take the drink and they urged Swamiji to have the drink, Swamiji took it second time, and again he found the image of Sri Ramakrishna in the fruit juice. And third time also when it happened, he understood that Sri Ramakrishna does not want him to drink the fruit juice, and Sri Ramakrishna gave him a hint that don't drink the fruit juice, it contains poison. This much most of us know about the incident. But what is more touching and worth learning in our life is that after this incident was over, Swami Vivekananda took leave of the Christian fathers, and as he was coming down and he was walking out of the compound, he found sound of somebody running behind him. As he turned back, he saw one man coming running towards him. Vivekananda stopped and waited for him. The man came near Swami Vivekananda, stood and very politely told, Sir, I am extremely sorry for what I have done, but it was not my intention. It is these fathers who asked me to mix the poison in the fruit juice, but it was not my intention to hurt you, sir. So please forgive me. Normally, in such cases, our reaction would have been totally different. We would have got really furious. We would have felt deeply hurt. We would have expressed our anger. But Swami Vivekananda very silently, just with great compassion and kindness and friendliness, looked into the eyes of the man who told Swamiji, forgive me. He put his hands on the shoulder of that man and told, that's okay, but never do it to anybody else in this world another time. Smiled at him and just took leave of him, turned back and walked around. That was a majestic style. In the most grandest way a saint can walk. In that walk, we can see the man who saw God in himself and God in others. So, this exuberant nature of Swamiji in meeting and having great relationship with human being really touches me whenever I read these incidents, and they can motivate us and they can also inspire us, and they also can add a new fragrance to our life whenever we find that our own people, our own near and dear ones, sometimes the people whom we trusted, they desert us. One more incident I will tell, and with this, I think today's session can be completed. I think time is coming to an end. Swami Vivekananda, after he came from the west for after the first visit to the west, when he came, one of his aunt had taken a loan of 5,000 from him. After he went to the west and came back to India, after the second visit, when he reminded the aunt that she has taken 5,000 rupees from him and she is supposed to return back that 5,000 rupees, in a very peculiar way, the aunt laughed and he told, Naren, which money? When did you give money? I never remember that you have given money to me. Swami Vivekananda felt so much of sympathy, so much of kindness for his own aunt. He writes in one of the letters, my own aunt cheated me, but poor aunt, I let her have that 5,000 rupees and just forgot it. Just I wanted to forgive and forget that. So the majestic stature, the majestic height, the grand heights to which a human sentiment can reach, we find it in Swami Vivekananda's life, how in a magnificent way he meets and expresses himself in all these trying situations and always emerging as a great conqueror of his own self and also a conqueror of other people's hearts with his unsullied love and affection. May Swami Vivekananda inspire us, fill our hearts with his great qualities, and uplift us in our thoughts, words, and deeds and emotions. With these few words, I convey my namaskars, good wishes, and prayers to all of you, my appreciation, congratulations, and a feeling and a sense of joy to Dr. Lakshmi Kumari, Didi, Shri Sudhakar, and other teammates in the well-known Vedic Vision Foundation at Kodangalur, which is a branch of Vivekananda Rock Memorial, Kanyakumari. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Sachit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Namaskaram. Jai Swami Vivekananda Maharaj ki Jai.
Swamiji, wonderful. We were all blessed today to have Swamiji's talk. And I am sure that if some of you have got anything to ask Swamiji, you can unmute yourself and then ask Swamiji. Anybody? Maybe this being the first time, Swamiji, we will give an opportunity for them to think over and then
No,
we
today
will
there is nothing to ask because I purposely wanted not to delve into philosophy or complicated subjects because already the complicated situation of corona is going on. Just to have, see, like what they call in Tamil Nadu, Thiruvilayadal, the Leelas of God, it is just soothing and giving a refreshing feeling in our mind. Sri Krishna Leela. There is nothing great philosophy. Krishna going and stealing butter. But still, even for an elderly man, Krishna stealing butter, giving lame excuses that he has not stolen the butter. The famous song Maya Mainahi Makhan Kayo. Then he's telling Maya Mainehi Makhan Kayo. So these are all what cools and soothes
Yeah.
our internal
Yeah.
system. It's what they call as bhakti. And bhakti is a door opener for inner inspiration.
So
In the next
Swamiji,
slowly other meetings, we will take up one by one little deeper and deeper. We'll go into those
yes, Swami.
things.
We will have the next session next Saturday, that is on 14th November.
14th, acha.
Yeah, 14th November, evening, same time. And I request all the participants, you can use the same link which you have used now for the next session also. The
And we will
password
continue, Sudhakar, the second part of this Vivekananda glows in human relationship. It will go into 3 parts.
Okay, Maharaj. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. We are very happy to have you, Swamiji. And then I know whenever I ask Swamiji to come and speak to us, he gladly accepts our invitation and then he comes. For him, this is another home. And we are very thankful on behalf of Vivekananda Kendra Vedic Vision Foundation and all the members of Vivekananda Kendra and all the listeners who have participated in today's webinar. I thank Swamiji once again, and then we will meet next Saturday, the same time, same link, same password.